Hello everyone. I'm actually very honored to be here, kind of representing a game development company. This kind of crowd is rather exciting, and I want to share a little bit like what we have done at Colossal Order and how our game has been utilized in urban development, much to our surprise. Because we at Colossal Order, we basically make games. We make entertainment. We don't have any kind of agenda for real world applications, so to speak. So a little bit about myself and Colossal Order. So I work as the CEO at Colossal Order. I'm one of the co-founders. I was 23-year-old civil engineer student when my friend called me and asked if I would want to become a CEO of a gaming company. And I was like, well, I can't really lose with that deal, so I guess I'll try. And we have, at Colossal Order, always had this passion for simulation games. Basically taking something from the real world, figuring it out, how do we present it to players as more fun than the realism is. So together with four others, we founded the company back in 2009. And we're based in Tampere, Finland. So it's very nice to be in Barcelona. It's so warm and summery here. So just invite me over whenever you want. Currently, we have 19 people working at the company. As we started with 5 people, we have had very controlled growth. And that's how we want to do it. We want to do our own thing, keep the company privately owned, and just have fun with it. And we have released 3 different titles: Mass Transit Simulator, Cities in Motion, and Cities in Motion 2, which is basically the player enters a city and they have to figure out how to make the public transportation work in the city. It has not been the sexiest topic for games out there, and as you might imagine, but we really hit the ball in the park with City Skylines that was released 2015. Which is basically taking the entire city development to the player's control. And we are working with a publisher, Paradox Interactive, from Sweden. And more about City Skylines. So the game has been hugely successful, and it has been released for Windows, Mac, and Linux platforms. And it has sold over 2 million copies worldwide, which for a PC game is actually quite a nice amount. In the game, the player takes the role of a city mayor and basically starts to build the city from flat land. There's nothing there except a highway connection to the city area where the player is supposed to start building, and then they get to be as creative as they want. So they can actually create the city of their dreams. And the funny thing we have noticed is that people actually really kind of want to build something familiar to them. In the game we have vast modding opportunities, so players can actually bring their own buildings to the game. And what we have noticed is that people really want to have something familiar in there. As the architecture or the visual style of the game is very generic, almost like plain, so that you can actually bring something to it and still use the buildings that are there, and they work. But we have a lot of, for example, like Eastern European buildings that have been brought into the game, and people are creating their own cities or the capitals of their countries. And for this, it's been very interesting to notice how familiar the city is to the players and how they want to kind of build the perfect version of their own city where they are living in. And so basically a couple of words about gamification. So what we have noticed is that, or we assume, I'm not an urban developer, so you might correct me if I'm wrong, but there's long planning processes. And it feels to us that the end user is not involved in the earlier stages of the urban development planning. And this is something that as the cities may have a lot of data, hard data, but the citizens are really the ones actually living in the cities, and they might actually have some knowledge that doesn't show up in the city. So basically having a conversation with the citizens, we feel is very, very important, and we have noticed kind of need for that as the players have created their own cities. And basically what is very nice to notice is that City Skylines has already been raising interest in involving the citizens from the city level. But we really would like to encourage people to kind of think about ways to having the citizens involved in the planning process. And basically gamification is one good way of doing that. And we'll go to a little bit about how the game can be used. So there are problems when we are talking about City Skylines, because it was really made for entertainment. It's not a planning tool per se. So there's quite a lot of simplifications in the game. So it can only provide kind of ideas and thoughts that what people would like to see with a relatively limited tool set. So in that sense, the game itself doesn't offer a perfect solution for gamification as it is. But what I do believe is that City Skylines is almost like opening the conversation for this, and there is room for developers to actually create game-like planning tools that could be utilized. And I think that's a market which is wide open out there at the moment. And the main idea using City Skylines as an urban planning tool is just getting the citizens involved in an exciting way, because games are fun, and making the urban planning fun sounds like people might get more excited about it. And we have actually a case in Finland where City Skylines was successfully used in a city planning process. So Hämeenlinna is a small city in southern parts of Finland. It has 68,000 inhabitants, and it was last spring that their city architect and urban planners contacted us and asked that we have this area in the city that we want to develop further, and we would really like to have the citizens involved in the planning process. Can we use your game to do it? And what was really refreshing about that is that because we have made cities in motion games earlier, the city of Tampere, where we're based, they have been asking us to actually build a tool, which is not really in our interest, because we want to make games, so we don't want to be making planning tools as a company. So they never actually went anywhere with their ideas of participating the citizens in the planning process, because there wasn't a ready-made solution for them. But the people from Hämeenlinna actually were really eager to figure out that how can they make this work. And with the modding tools that we have in City Skylines, the people working for the city of Hämeenlinna actually created a landscape which is exactly like the area that they wanted to develop, and they even built a part of the city ready there. So it was like a small model of Hämeenlinna showing the area that they wanted to get the feedback on, and allowed people to basically build on that area and get inspired. So for us this is extremely exciting in the sense that City Skylines being a game, it has actually now been really successfully used in the case of Hämeenlinna to get inspired. And basically the goals were to involve the citizens, hear their feedback, and when I talked, after the contest was finished, I talked with their city architect, and he was saying that there were so many ideas that he would have never thought about. They were very inspired by the feedback from the citizens, understanding better what kind of solutions would actually make sense to the people living in there, in Hämeenlinna. So that was very, very interesting case. And they even got some participants from outside Finland who were just really interested in making a kind of a real-life proposal that how that area could be developed. And this was there was a lot of media attention. There was a lot of attention for the Hämeenlinna citizens who didn't want to actually participate, but they kept talking about it. This actually was even talked internationally in a sense that there was a lot of conversation that how can we take this to other countries, other cities as well. And basically, I'm very proud of the city of Hämeenlinna being such a small city in Finland. They, to me, felt like they were very progressive. They were very brave to try something new and actually put time and effort into creating this contest and having the citizens involved. So that's just one case from Finland where as Colossal Order we basically provided them with game codes so they could have the game available in city libraries. So people who of course didn't have to buy the game, but they could go to the libraries and participate in the contest there. But otherwise it was all the Hämeenlinna city workers or urban planners who basically organized this contest, and it was very nice for us to notice. And we're talking with some other cities in Finland as well for similar kind of contests or cases. Then in Stockholm, which is basically where our publisher is based, there's new district being developed, and this is a newer project. So the guys over there, this is something that Colossal Order is not actively involved in, as it's more of our publisher's domain. But the idea there is that they will basically want to develop a completely new district to the city of Stockholm that would basically add 12,000 new residents and 35,000 new workspaces to that area. So we're talking about a quite large-scale project. So City Skylines was basically used for that as well. So they actually held a workshop at the beginning of this month and invited people interested in the project there to kind of think how where the planning process should go, and basically used City Skylines to visualize what they were about to build or plan. And this is really something that involves a lot of different expertise, and that is definitely something that I'm also hoping that there were basically students and researchers and gamers, but also that they would have had some local citizens who are not necessarily gamers in there. The game is relatively easy to use. It's very much easier than any urban planning tool that I've ever come across. So it's very easy to get citizens who don't necessarily play games to get involved because it's such an easy access to the game. And yeah, this is something which is now ongoing. So we are very excited to hear how it will be developed forward. And as it is such a large-scale project, it will be a good case example for any future projects. And so we will hear more about this later this year. So as a conclusion, to have game-like or games or game-like planning tools is a good way of involving citizens, basically, and generally. Anyone who is interested in the projects. And for me, urban development definitely is something that is all about the citizens and they should be involved. So finding ways to kind of get that process happening is a very positive thing. The game itself doesn't work on a professional field because there are so many simplifications. You can't actually drive realistic data there. It is more of a visualization and kind of just giving ideas and feedback. So it can't be used as a city planning tool as such. But it is definitely something that, as I mentioned earlier, I think this is a process that is now starting, and it's going to be really interesting to see in the future what kind of gamification can be made for urban planning. And as city builder, games have been developed for I would say the first one came out in late 80s. So it has been very familiar to players, and to kind of take those simplified mechanics and kind of deepen those, have more realistic data there. I think there's a fine line between having an actual planning tool and a game. Why games are so simplified is because we always go fun first and realism second. So if we can kind of find more ways to keep the fun and still add the realism there, I think that will make better tools for to participate the citizens. And definitely I'm hoping that me speaking here today kind of inspires you guys to think of ways to use gamification and participate the citizens. So you can get good feedback, and I don't know, it's very much so that citizens are the ones actually creating the city, for me at least. So I hope you got something out of these couple of cases that I presented. Thank you so much.